God forbid a celebrity not want to label their sexuality in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Pleasure Trove. I'll try not to hit my guests in the face. We have, oh God, Noah and Corry. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
So Noah is a musician and a YouTuber. Corry is a YouTuber and podcaster and science boy. That is what he wanted me to say.
Officially.
And I'm really excited for you both to share with the people some of your sexy faves, basically. By now, you guys know the drill. Be nice, obviously. No, you usually
Don't
are.
be nice. Be mean to us.
They love it. That's the sexy
thing number one.
Be mean to me. Excellent. I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Noah and Corry to take you through some of their sexy faves, sexy recommendations. Yay!
I thought you were putting our hands down.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
no.
I just wanted to have a moment. So without further ado, take it away.
Hello, I'm Noah.
And I'm Corry.
I make YouTube videos and I make music. The YouTube videos are kind of about relationships sometimes. They're about LGBT stuff mostly, but yeah, I make music.
I'm Corry. I do a science podcast where we talk about science stuff. Sometimes there's sex stuff, sometimes there's relationship stuff, but mostly science stuff.
We're excited to be here to talk a bit about sex and relationships and bodies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we've got lots of fun stuff for you today, so why don't we get into it?
First up, we have news.
So I found a story recently about a kitten that was born, and there's something really interesting about this kitten. Do you know what it is?
Really fluffy. Really cute.
I mean, it is fluffy in places that it shouldn't necessarily be fluffy. They couldn't find any sex organs on this kitten, and I just thought it was really interesting that I don't mean that this kitten has sort of sex organs that are ambiguous. There are just none there, external or internal, just no sex organs whatsoever.
Do you know how the kitten pees?
Your urethra is not a sex organ.
That's true.
It's a different thing.
It's just
But
a
yeah,
hole.
I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thing because we talk a lot about sort of, people being intersex, and this is technically, I guess, an intersex condition in a cat, but it also isn't because there's
no sex.
No sex. None whatsoever. They couldn't find anything. They said that there's not even any tissue that could be anywhere else in the body, like ovarian tissue somewhere else. They said this cat just isn't born with anything. And my favorite thing about it was in the article. It said that they were using they pronouns for the cat because they didn't know the cat's gender.
Oh, because it's intersex.
It's intersex.
That's
so they were being
incredible.
safe in using they pronouns.
That's
With a
really
little
nice.
kitten.
So another piece of news that I'm sure people have heard about, I know you've heard about it, Kit Connor was forced to come out as bisexual.
He was forced to come out as bisexual. I did a
Yeah.
little video about this actually, if you want to go and watch that after this. But no, yeah, he was forced to come out as bisexual because he was queer baiting. Do you remember that?
Oh yes, famously when queer people don't come out, they are queer baiting, apparently.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're bisexual and you're seen with a girl and you are a man, then you are straight and lying about it. And that's what happened to Kit Connor. And
/J. That was a joke.
yeah, no, absolutely. I just think it's really weird and interesting how this kind of stuff goes down, right? How you can look at queer people in a potential relationship, and if that relationship isn't itself outwardly queer,
Yeah.
then they're immediately seen as straight and lying and bad. And I don't know, I just think this is a lesson for everyone that maybe we shouldn't be looking at people's relationships and then using those to determine whether or not they're queer.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it also just with people like Harry Styles or Youngblood, where just because Harry Styles hasn't specifically said, yes, I'm into men and women, or any other kind of variation of people are just like, oh, he's queer baiting because he wears frilly clothes.
God forbid a celebrity not want to label their sexuality in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
That's the thing, I think, as well, is that people need labels to categorize. People, specifically sort of celebrities, they want to know what kind of box they fit into because they want to know if they can look up to them in this specific way, which I understand and I get, and I can see the utility in that, but also some people don't want to be in boxes.
Yeah,
so
and
don't
also,
put them in boxes.
Also, I feel like queer people understand how difficult it is to come out. And I feel like it's a bit strange that people don't really think that applies to celebrities just because they're in the public eye. Next up in news, we have our good old guy, Rishi Sunak, wanting to remove protections from transgender people in the Equality Act.
He's always doing good stuff, isn't he, that Rishi Sunak?
Yeah.
Always looking out for everyone.
Really, really good, which pretty much means that if he was to do that, that would mean that trans people wouldn't have protections in the workplace against discrimination.
But why do trans people need protections in the workplace against discrimination? Aren't trans people all-powerful and free from discrimination? Is that not the
I thought so too, but apparently not.
Oh, well, it's that trans agenda. That's what it is. That's what, seriously though, this is absolutely ridiculous. There is this sort of thing going on with our government right now, wherein Tories who want to be in power need to say trans people bad.
Because it will get them votes.
Yeah, get them votes. Even the ones that, thought trans people okay before. They'll happily come out and say trans people bad if it means getting votes. And does that not tell you something that saying trans people bad, but not in those words, usually it's protect women at all costs, is what they'll usually say. Is it not weird that that is a sort of platform that you can use to get more votes?
Yeah. Don't feel that great as a trans person, to be honest.
What, just stepping on you, using you as a stepping stone to becoming prime minister, just like standing on your head.
It's nice to get attention, but not that kind.
Next up, we have books.
The book that I chose to talk about today was I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy.
That sounds like a very provocative title.
It's a very provocative title. I had a great time reading it. It was a really enjoyable read about like childhood trauma, about eating disorders. But I'm saying I enjoy reading it because she just has a way of writing that's just like, wow, you're just really endearing. You're just really good. And it was really interesting to learn about what growing up in the big Nickelodeon machine. It's kind of just an interesting read. Obviously, trigger warning.
Trigger warning books. If you can't deal with books,
yeah,
don't read this book.
Pages. Quite a few of them.
No, but Jeanette McCurdy, she was on iCarly, right?
Yeah, so she was Sam in iCarly, and her whole character was that she was like really brash, and she ate a load of food, and she was greedy, and she beat people up with a butter sock. So obviously you can understand if your character that you're known for forever, one of her big traits is that she eats a lot. So yeah, it's a very interesting read. I do recommend reading it.
But then the title as well, it's I'm Glad My Mum Died.
Yeah.
There's a story there, right?
There is a story there, yeah. So her mum was the reason that she ended up getting an eating disorder, and her mum was the reason that she ended up working on Nickelodeon. And it's really interesting because it goes through like her therapy sessions and how at the beginning of therapy she refused to admit that her mum would ever do anything bad. And it's kind of just going through that whole process of her learning to accept that like maybe things aren't as good as she thought they were.
Well, it's interesting though. There were elements of sort of abuse there with her and her mother that wouldn't necessarily be evident to someone from the outside.
Yeah, exactly.
But reading it, I was like, oh man, it's so interesting seeing it from this perspective, because I find that that title, I'm Glad My Mum Died, is something that people get really up in arms about, because you're supposed to love your mum. Everyone should love their mum, you know, like, because mums are great. Don't we love mums? Not all mums are great. Some mums suck. And I think people should be able to say that. You know, I mean, this absolute reverence that we have for that sort of parental or any sort of familial relationship is just, it's not always healthy, because those relationships aren't always healthy. I really like, having not read the book, apart from those excerpts, I really want to.
You should read the book.
Oh man, you should read it too. Like, even just the title alone for me, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, I'm in. Let's go. So next up we have apps. What app do you have for us today?
So today I decided to speak about Clue Period app. It's an app to track your periods, to track your menstruation. It's got like a calendar where you can put in like how you're feeling, if you're feeling sensitive leading up to your period. It tells you when you're ovulating. And I think it's interesting for me because a period, obviously, for a trans guy is something that causes a significant amount of distress a lot of the time in terms of dysphoria. And I have been using Clue since I was like maybe 13 or something. And it's just really good because it's like, it's kind of nice to me to not think about my period, and when I'm coming up to it, you can kind of feel it coming on. You can just check Clue and it will tell you specifically when you're supposed to bleed. It's also useful for you to know exactly.
I like knowing.
Yeah.
And I have a vibe most of the time. Like there's about a week every month where I'm like, the wind is changing.
Yeah.
Something is coming. And then it takes me a couple days to realize what I've noticed.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, period start, and I'm like, that was it. Yeah. Okay. I knew.
It's also good for him to have my Clue as well, because then he doesn't have to ask me about it.
No.
I don't like talking about it.
I don't want to ask about it, but I want to know.
Here you go. Here you go. Here is everything you need to know. Here is my symptoms. I'm feeling really sensitive right now.
It's good to like look back and track through like previous months as well.
Reminisce on the old periods of your life.
Well, also, just from a sort of, personal health perspective.
Oh, yeah.
It's very useful to know, especially like if you're, from a sort of, I guess, trans perspective as well. If you're on medication that is altering your period or stopping it, it's very useful to have all of that as well.
Oh, yeah. Like when I started testosterone, like my periods changed up a lot, and it was good for for me to track them because it was useful for my doctor to know what was going on. So like it's useful for like a bunch of anybody that bleeds once a month or however often you bleed. It's a useful app.
Because remember as well, you were on progesterone for a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And that really messed with you in your head a little bit.
Yeah, I got very depressed, and I started progesterone because I was like, I don't want to have periods anymore. And I was on testosterone, they didn't stop my periods, which is quite uncommon. So I was like, I'll go on progesterone. I won't have any periods. I bled for 3 months straight.
Progesterone, by the way, it's a contraceptive without estrogen.
Yeah.
Just for anyone that doesn't know.
And it was very important to me after I stopped progesterone to really track what was going on, because it's kind of scary not really keeping up with whatever's going on in your body.
Well, I remember 1 week every month. There would be one full week every month that I could say something like, hey, did you leave that fork in the sink? And
why would you say that?
You'd be so upset. I could say, I'd look at you the wrong way, and suddenly, like, everything was terrible.
Yeah.
And I think it would, like, at that point, it would have been useful to track and be like, hey, 1 week every now and then, I'm not feeling so good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we don't like to talk about this, but hormones, they do affect how you feel.
Oh yeah, I've been
obviously.
on all of them. I've been on all of them.
I think the difficult thing is this is what people go through as teenagers as well. The difficult thing to understand is, hey, I'm acting in a way that I might not normally act, and kind of pulling apart sort of like how the hormones are affecting your emotions and like what your emotions really are, because it feels like you're undermining yourself.
Yeah, and it was interesting to me as well, because like specifically, like I started testosterone, I was going through puberty. So not only was I going through puberty and having like the sweats and smelling real bad and being real greasy and being really emotional and being really frustrated, I had that, but then I also had periods at the same time. So that was like the testosterone hormone and then the progesterone hormone and the estrogen hormone, and it was just a lot to keep track of. And it is nice to look at it and look at the calendar and be like, why was I really depressed a few weeks ago? And be like, oh, that's because that's when my shot lined up and when my progesterone shot lined up and my period lined up, because you could like put medication in there as well. Next up, we have YouTube.
If you don't know what YouTube is, that's where you're watching this video right now.
Very good, thank you, Corey.
You're welcome.
So, Ezra Butler is a queer creator, and he makes shorts on YouTube, which is like a new feature. That's really, really cool.
A brand new feature that has not been taken from any other app anywhere else.
Yeah, but he specifically only makes shorts, and he has a series that is called Doing Things You're Afraid Of to Show You It's Okay, which I absolutely love. It's the sweetest thing ever, and very useful for me, because
I was gonna say, because you're afraid of a lot of things.
I'm afraid of anything that I've not experienced before. So for like example, one of the videos he made was like taking the bus alone and showing people that it's okay and that, you know, you can be anxious, still take the bus alone, and it's absolutely fine, which to be honest, that's the kind of content that I needed a good few years ago. One that I specifically wanted to talk about today was he made a video where he went and bought clothes in a size up, which is probably very anxiety inducing if that's something that you're insecure about, that you're not feeling that great about body-wise. And it's just nice. He's just like, they've just got this like really reassuring way about them.
I don't know, I think that's interesting for me, because I used to be quite anxious. I used to be anxious about many, many things, you know, getting a bus, ordering food, speaking to people, doing anything. I'd have to have one headphone a little bit out so that I could hear myself breathing on the bus, so that I wasn't breathing too loud to annoy other people around me. Things like that. But now, I don't really think about anything, and saying something like that, buying clothes in a size up, that's not something that would even enter my head as something that someone could be anxious about.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to know what other people could be struggling with.
Yeah.
So that you can accommodate for it, right? Because I remember having a conversation with someone and they said something to me that was personally very upsetting, kind of triggering almost. And I was like, how could you not know that this isn't something that you say to people just generally?
Yeah.
And it wasn't really fair for me to say that because they didn't know. And I think, like, outside of finding use in those videos in terms of, oh, this is helping me do a thing, it's also useful to be like, oh, maybe my friends are struggling with this specific thing and I can help them. Or like my friends and my partner, whoever is struggling with this specific thing, and I can help them by just being conscious of that.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to Instagram.
ADHD love.
I love ADHD love.
I also love ADHD love.
We both have ADHD, but what is ADHD love, Noah?
It's an account run by Rory, who's my buddy. We write music together, and her partner Rick. They make the kind of content where it's like, if you're in a relationship with someone with ADHD, this is something that you may notice that you didn't really understand. And I really enjoy watching it because they're educational, but they're also just really fun.
They are. They're educational and fun. And my little story about this is that, as you said, Rory, our friend, is one of the people that does the videos. I didn't realize that until last week. That's how ADHD I am. I have met this person multiple times.
Yeah.
We have spoken and interacted, and I did not put two and two together and realize that it was the same person from these TikTok videos that I liked.
Yeah.
Because they recently did an interview, didn't they?
Yeah, I was going to say they recently did an an interview with the Daily Mail, which was very interesting. Something that I did find really fun about the interview was that they mentioned that Rich has to remind Rory to use a tampon.
Yeah, but then this is the thing. People might be thinking, oh, what does ADHD have to do with relationships? Isn't it just not remembering stuff? No.
No, it affects
No.
every part of your life.
Every single part of your life. But it's one of those things where it necessarily has to come into a relationship, even if you're not living together, but especially if you are living together.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if it comes to washing, as in washing clothes, I will put clothes in the washing machine, and then I will leave them in the washing machine until I remember that I have left clothes in the washing machine. So, like,
Yeah,
I'll have
be
to
like,
wash
"Hey,
clothes
hey,
2 or 3
Corry."
times. Because the washing, I can't see inside of it.
They're still wet.
Exactly.
They've
So-
been there 3 days, Corry.
So there's things like that. Or I'll just not notice, a full washing basket. My job is to wash clothes. But I won't notice a full washing basket because it's not changing. It's not
Yeah.
relevant to me. And so there's little things like that. And not being annoyed, hey, you've not taken this out. Hey, you've not done this.
Yeah.
How could you have not seen that? Because you just can't necessarily do it all the time. And it's one thing when you've got one person who has ADHD. When you've got 2 people with ADHD, you're fighting uphill together, right?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta hope that they kind of match up and line up so that you're picking up each other's slack.
I'm sorry you don't feel listened to. I just can't concentrate on you just speaking right now. I just can't do it.
But it's interesting as well because something that comes into ADHD that isn't, I think, spoken about all that often is with regards to sex. There was something that I've been seeing people talking about recently where you can be physically sort of mismatched with sort of your mental state, and ADHD can sort of exacerbate that, wherein physically you're like, yes, I'm ready for sex, but in your head you're like,
There's something pretty over there.
yeah, like, or you get bored or distracted,
Yeah.
you're like, hey, what was that thing I was thinking about? You're just like, yes, these thoughts from earlier. Like, and it's not something I guess you would necessarily consider if you
No.
don't have ADHD, but you very much can just get completely distracted. And a partner might think, oh, am I not sort of exciting for you? Am I
Yeah.
not interesting? No, I can't. I honestly lose track of what I'm doing
Yeah.
5 times in the space of 1 minute. The fact that I'm lasting this long with paying attention.
About specifically that in terms of like relationships and sex and people with ADHD, Hannah actually made a really good video about that I watched on the train here. Definitely recommend watching that.
I concur. So another Instagram account that I really, really love is BDC Carpenter, Ben Carpenter. He does these sorts of, I guess, fitness videos, but he's very much up my alley in that all of them are very, very scientific and evidence-based. And I know that he's reading the studies because you'll see this often. People talking about exercise and fitness and, sort of bodies on the internet will be saying, oh yeah, if you're fat, you're bad and you should lose weight because it's healthier for you, and also it's all about the effort that you put in. And that's just not really evidence-based. This guy, I mean, you should see him. He is ripped. If you're watching this, Ben, you are ripped. He's genuinely jacked, but also he's not someone that looks down on anyone for their body type. And the evidence that he uses, you can tell that he has read the studies because he goes into the results very specifically in a way that lots of people who sort of use science to be mean to fat people don't.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate it. And he basically comes from the sort of standpoint of, fitness is about, sort of being fit isn't just about having this specific kind of body type, because in fact, those very specific, very cut body types are often kind of unhealthy.
Yeah.
Fitness is about sort of, it's about finding your goals and working with your personal trainer, if you have one, to sort of achieve those in healthy ways. And I don't know, it's all about sort of body positivity in a way that you don't usually see with fitness
Yeah.
influencers, right? Like, I've shown you a bunch of his videos, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. He's just really, really good. He's just a very, very nice guy that debunks all of this sort of fat phobia and all of this ableism. And he's just great. He's great. He's exactly what a fitness influencer should be. He's a great guy. I don't want to gush anymore, so maybe we should move on to someone else.
Good job, Ben. And our last Instagram account of the day is Hazel Hayes.
Ooh, our good friend Hazel Hayes.
Yes, our friend Hazel Hayes. She recently made an Instagram post about fertility and her journey with fertility. She's looking into freezing her eggs, which is something that I've gone through. And it was just a really nice post to read about because it's not the kind of thing that you really expect to come up on your Instagram because it's not really spoken about in the way that she spoke about it. She was really quite honest about her experience with it. I'm going to read a little bit of what she had to say. She said, "Cut to me lying on a bed in a small white room with flimsy blue curtains, a probe rammed firmly up my vagina, a fuzzy image of my uterus on a monitor, and a dodie beside me, holding my hand and making me laugh so hard that the nurse has to tell us to stop giggling or the scan won't work. It's just a nice, wholesome post, but also I just liked it.
Yeah, I think the thing is, one, it'd be far better if you read it in the correct Irish accent.
I will not be doing
If you're
that.
going to read it yourself, imagine it in an Irish accent. But two, I think it's really interesting because you don't usually see that side of fertility treatment, right?
Yeah.
It's treated with such a sort of very, like, sort of safety gloves. It's
Yeah.
all very, like, oh, very gentle. We've got to be very respectful. And this is just Hazel being like, I've got this rammed up my vagina and I
Yeah.
was laughing with my friend. I like that. I like seeing that side of it, you know, going with a friend to do this, like having fun. It's sort of, I guess, demystifying and sort of
Makes it seem much less
destigmatizing it.
scary, probably. Yeah.
But then it's interesting though because you've actually gone through that process, right?
Yeah, it would have been nice to see a post like that before I went into my egg freezing, because I kind of went in a bit blind, not really knowing anybody that had experienced that or anybody that had done it. And it was terrifying for me specifically as a trans person because I had to go to like a women's clinic and I had to get my eggs frozen at a women's clinic, and you know, it was very gendered and it was scary because it was just very clinical and scientific, which obviously very important, but to me it was just like, okay, I'm 18, I'm gonna go and get this operation now, that's really cool. But yeah, it would have been nice to have a bit more of a less scary approach to it. Next up, we have TV, and I recently watched Louis Theroux interviewing Youngblood, which was something I did not expect to happen. I did not expect that to be made, but it was very interesting.
Two of your interests just coming together, isn't it?
Louis Theroux and Youngblood. I love Louis Theroux. I like Youngblood's music.
So I actually haven't watched any of these interviews. What specifically about it was interesting?
So it kind of follows his musical journey, but also his mental health journey.
Louis Theroux's?
No, Youngblood's. And I found it really interesting. There's also a section where they talk about the fact that people say he's queer baiting because he wears skirts and he's quite vocal in saying that you should love whoever you want to love. And people have accused him of queer baiting because of that. But what I found interesting was just like, it really goes through kind of some of his trauma, and they actually end up speaking to his parents and his family.
Yeah.
About that trauma, and it was the first time that they had ever spoken about it, and they got it on camera. You should watch it. It was really interesting.
That's
but
insane.
it was just like him sat on a sofa and him talking about how difficult it was for his parents to be arguing so much and how much it affected him. And he was like sat crying on the sofa and just like seeing his parents like hear for the first time how it felt for that to happen was just, it was really interesting, and it's also kind of a necessary thing for people to see, I think, because my dad and my brother actually watched it.
Did they?
And they asked me about it before I watched it, and they were like, yeah, what do you think? I found it really interesting. So I definitely recommend it, even if you're not the biggest fan of Youngblood. It's something that I guess you probably wouldn't see every day.
No, I think that's interesting. I mean, you bring up the queer baiting thing again, and I just want to touch on that one more time. Again, my full thoughts are in a video that I did, which you can watch if you want after this. No, but I think when it comes to real people queer baiting, it's really interesting because people always target these sort of very, I guess, fruity guys, for want of a better term,
Fruity,
right?
yeah.
Well, that's it though, right? Like if you're kind of frilly as a man, if you're very kind of, I mean, I guess, breaking gender norms, but not saying that you're non-binary, not saying that you're bisexual or pansexual or gay or anything, then people get very, very upset because they say, this is a straight man taking what's ours. And that seems so odd to me because, look, I understand not wanting straight people to co-opt sort of queer things, but on the other hand, these aren't inherently queer things that they're taking. Being, I guess, more fluid with how you express your gender is something that everyone should be able to do. It should be open to everyone. That should be the goal. Gatekeeping this sort of presentation is really, really strange. And also, these people, like these Harry Styleses and these Youngbloods, they've not labeled their sexuality. So assuming that they're straight...
Well, Youngblood has.
Oh, Youngblood has. Oh, sorry, Youngblood has.
He's
Absolutely.
pansexual, and people still tell him that he's queer baiting because they've not seen him with a guy.
Man, I watched him kiss a guy on stage. Yeah. Like, it was very aggressive. Like, I don't think that he's queer baiting.
I just think people that have a problem with this are kind of just working to reinforce gender norms. Yeah. Which is specifically what we're trying to get away from.
It's really interesting. It's almost the inverse of how TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists, basically rich white ladies that are transphobic, if you don't know what that means. It's the same way that TERFs end up sort of reinforcing sexism and misogyny by being so averse to trans people, right? That they end up accidentally
Doing a sexism.
Not accidentally being sexist. You know, they bring in these sort of laws where they're bringing in these sort of ideas where, oh, genital checks on children. But wait, hold on, didn't you want to protect? And wait, so now they've got to go to their doctor and have their doctor check their. But wait a second. This is exactly the opposite of what you wanted.
Yeah.
And, you know, the queer community is doing something similar to that too, where, you know, they're seeing people that don't fit every exact parameter they've got for queerness. And they're saying, well, then you're not allowed to be queer. You can't be part of this club. And look, a real person, maybe they can queerbait. Maybe they can't queerbait. That's irrelevant. A real person queerbaiting is indistinguishable from someone that is in the closet.
Yeah.
So just maybe don't. Maybe just let people exist and be who they are and stop going after queer people or potentially queer people for not being quite queer enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to films.
We recently watched a film called My Fake Boyfriend on Amazon Prime.
It's a very good film. It's got Dylan Sprouse in it. It's got Keenan Lonsdale and someone else. Oh, she was Haley from Modern Family. I can't remember the actor's name, but it was actually surprisingly really good.
It was not what I expected it to be.
No, it's a really difficult one to kind of describe because the sort of synopsis for it on all of the sort of platforms where you can find those.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, and I guess, you know, anywhere else, IMDb, whatever, other brands are available. The synopsis doesn't really give you an idea of what the film is about. It's about this character who, he's a gay man, and he's broken up with his boyfriend, and he's now kind of trying to navigate that world. So we get a lot of fun stuff. There's a couple of fun scenes in gay nightclubs. It's really made with an understanding of queer relationships, and it does something that I haven't really seen before, which is it just has a nice wholesome
It's
gay
just
relationship.
silly. There's no trauma porn.
No.
It's not like making everything really depressing and really dramatic.
There's a sex scene that is, I guess it's not like a sex scene in a straight film, and they've not made it like here's a man and a woman, and we've just swapped out the man for a woman or whatever. Yeah, they've not done that. They've made a sex scene that is quite gay, but also is treated in the same way that a sex scene in a straight film would have been treated.
Yeah.
It is just a rom-com though, actually.
It's just a rom-com.
I don't know why I haven't said that yet. It is one of those films that is it's just fun, it's nice, and also it happens to be about gay people. And when I say it has to be about gay people, I don't mean, oh, it happens to have gay characters in it. It is built from the ground up as a film about gay people. And also, I'm pretty sure that best friend is bisexual and in love with the main character. You'll understand when you watch it. Yeah. But, I mean, the sort of story is about that gay guy who breaks up with his boyfriend, gets into this starts trying to get into this more sort of wholesome relationship, whilst his best friend makes a fake Instagram boyfriend for him, and that fake Instagram boyfriend becomes far too real. It's a silly, fun film, and it's so intrinsically queer.
It's so insane.
It's great.
It's so good.
And it's not cinema. It's not peak cinema. Okay, you're not watching a Citizen Kane. You're not watching an Arrival. I can't think of any other films. No. Okay, you're watching a fun rom-com with Keenan Lonsdale and Dylan Sprouse and Haley from Modern Family.
It's great.
It's fantastic. You should watch it.
So, lastly, we have stuff. And the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is Paxy's underwear.
Ah, is it underwear that you stuff?
It is. That's true. That's good. So Paxy's are a trans-positive brand, and they release boxers with pre-made packers in it. So there's just like a little bulge at the front, which is something that a lot of trans people use. A lot of trans men will use that.
Tell me what a packer is.
A packer is something that you stuff your underwear with to make it look as though you have a bulge. Obviously, packing underwear, not something that you can buy at Sainsbury's.
No, you can't. I have
that's
looked.
fair.
You can't buy it in Sainsbury's.
I think that's fair to say. But yeah, they actually sent over a bunch of boxes for both of us.
Yeah.
They're my favorite underwear. They're great.
I should point out, I didn't get underwear that had packer space in it. So
yeah, they have gender neutral underwear.
Yeah, well, no, what they have, and I really do love Paxies as well, even though I don't pack. They have pockets, just pockets on the side. So if I'm cutting about the house, just wearing a long t-shirt and boxers, as I'm wont to do, I pop stuff in my Paxies pockets. They're so good. I mean, this is what I really like about Paxies. They've not just gone into the very obvious niche of, okay, we're going to make boxers specifically for, trans guys or people that want to pack. They've said, okay, let's do this. But whilst we're also at it, why don't we just sell pocket underwear to everyone?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure, I want pocket underwear. Yeah. And if I could support a brand that is, providing like really good packing underwear to people that need it, sure, great, cool.
And they also
Win-win.
just look like normal boxers. Like they're cool. They got cute patterns. They got stripy ones. They got camo ones. Because a lot of the time when you're buying specific trans related stuff, there's not that many resources. Everything comes from the internet, and a lot of the time there'll be like small trans brands and they'll only have like one product, whereas Paxies have like a bunch of different underwear. underwear. You could walk around in them and they're just so comfy. I don't get a wedgie, they don't ride up. Incredible. That's difficult. That's difficult for me. They're the only underwear that I can wear that don't give me wedgies.
Also, I feel like if you're a trans guy and watching this, you probably almost definitely know about Paxies already, because they seem to have had every single trans man on the internet wear their boxers.
Yeah.
Like, on their Instagram, I keep on seeing, I'm like, I recognize you.
Yeah.
I recognize you.
Yeah.
Like, all the time, you know? So if you've not heard of them, go ahead and check them out and maybe support them, because they are very nice boxers.
I want some more.
Yeah, I want some more
It's
too.
Christmas soon.
Paxies, hook us up. So that is everything we've got for you today, I'm pretty sure. Is that not everything we've got?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so all we've got left to do is to tell you where you can find us and what else we do.
So you'll find me everywhere at Noah Fints. I post YouTube videos every week. I post on Instagram a bit, and I also make music. So if you want to check that out, look me up on Spotify. And I'm also maybe playing some shows soon, maybe not. Maybe going on tour in America in April, but maybe not. Don't know if I'm allowed to announce it yet. But you should check my socials to see what's going on with that.
Very mysterious.
Yes.
I am at Not Corry everywhere, literally anywhere on the internet. If you type in at Not Corry, you will find me. You can also find my podcast, Sci Guys, at Sci Guys Pod, or at Sci Guys, SEIGUYS, like sci-fi, but Sci Guys. We do comedy, science stuff. We talk about sex, relationships, being queer, being trans, having mental disorders, anything that falls under the purview of science and comedy, we will cover. So you should check that out. We upload videos every single week over on our YouTube or on Apple and Spotify. And I think that's about all that I have to say.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, thank you to Hannah. Thank you to all of you for watching. Hopefully you'll check out all the videos and stuff that we've recommended. I think that's goodbye.
Yeah, have a good day.